Samsung's most powerful phone of 2025 is starting to look a lot less like a Samsung and a lot more like an iPhone. And because of that, even the iconic S Pen is changing too. The Galaxy S26 Ultra, set to launch next year, is going through one of its biggest design shifts ever. Samsung is softening the sharp, boxy corners that once defined the Ultra series and replacing them with more rounded edges, a look that immediately draws comparisons to the iPhone 17. And this isn't just a small tweak, it's a major redesign that's changing how the phone feels, looks, and even how its signature stylus is built. That's right, the S Pen, a hallmark feature of the Ultra lineup, is also getting a makeover. Its visible end, the part you see and touch when it's docked inside the phone, will now be curvier to match the phone's new shape. On paper, that sounds like a small cosmetic change, but in reality, it highlights just how far Samsung is going to reshape the Ultra's identity. And this brings us to the bigger question: why does any of this matter? For over a decade, Samsung's Ultra phones stood out precisely because they didn't look like iPhones. They had sharper edges, bold lines, and a design language that made them instantly recognizable. That boxy silhouette wasn't just an aesthetic choice. It made the S Pen more practical and gave the Ultra its professional, productivity-focused vibe. Now, with Samsung leaning heavily into rounded corners and iPhone-style camera bumps, that distinctive edge is fading, literally and figuratively. Let's break down what's actually changing here. First, the corners. The S26 Ultra's new design ditches the squared-off profile that fans have come to associate with the Ultra series. Instead, it's embracing softer, more curved edges. This makes the phone feel sleeker and possibly more comfortable to hold, but it also means the device looks far less unique. If you place it side by side with an iPhone 17 Pro, you might have to look twice to tell them apart. Next, the camera module. Samsung is reportedly going with a larger, more prominent rear camera housing that looks strikingly similar to Apple's latest design. And not everyone's thrilled about that. Some early reactions describe the new camera bump as archaic or even ugly, arguing that Samsung is losing its design confidence by following Apple's lead instead of setting its own trends. Then there's the S Pen. Although its functionality isn't changing, you'll still get the precision, features, and convenience that make it essential for power users, but its shape will now mirror the phone's new curves. It's a subtle but telling shift. Samsung isn't just updating hardware specs here, it's redesigning the entire identity of the Ultra series around this new aesthetic. Now, to be clear, the Galaxy S26 Ultra isn't just about looks. Under the hood, it's shaping up to be a powerhouse. It'll run on Qualcomm's new Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip, though some regions might still see Samsung's Exynos processor, and it's finally expected to deliver a meaningful camera upgrade. The tried-and-true 5000 mAh battery is sticking around, which means battery life should remain solid. But despite these impressive specs, many longtime Samsung fans might find themselves torn. Because if you loved the Ultra series for its bold, boxy look, the one thing that truly set it apart from every other flagship, that's now disappearing. And once that identity fades, the Ultra risks blending into the crowd of premium phones it used to stand apart from. That's exactly why some are already eyeing alternatives within Samsung's own lineup. The Galaxy S26 Edge, for instance, will share the same performance and features without quite as drastic a design shift. And if you're not sold on this new look at all, Samsung's foldables might be worth a second glance. The Galaxy Z Fold 7, for example, is being praised for combining top-tier performance with a unique practical design, something the Ultra series used to do best. This design overhaul also raises an interesting point about where flagship phones are heading in general. For years, Samsung and Apple were the two poles of smartphone design, one bold and boxy, the other sleek and rounded. Now, as Samsung edges closer to Apple's aesthetic, the differences between them are shrinking. That might make it harder for consumers to tell them apart or even care which one they choose. It's a reminder that specs alone don't define a flagship phone. Identity does. And when a brand known for pushing boundaries starts adopting the look of its biggest rival, it risks blurring the lines that made it special in the first place. The Galaxy S26 Ultra will undoubtedly be a technological beast, but the bigger story might be what this design shift says about Samsung's strategy. Are they trying to appeal to a wider audience by adopting a more familiar iPhone-like look? Or are they slowly moving away from the distinct design language that built the Ultra's loyal fan base? We won't know the full story until the phone launches, but one thing's for sure, Samsung is making bold moves, and not everyone's gonna like them. Whether you see the new S26 Ultra as a welcome evolution or a disappointing step backward might just depend on how much you value a phone's personality over its power.